Hello everyone, this is Tom from Black Toe Studio and welcome to this 2000 point battle report of Warhammer 40k. Thank you all so much for joining us and tuning in to this battle report. We do appreciate you popping along to watch our videos, and as usual, if you enjoy our channel and you want to see some more of what we do, please give us a like and a subscribe. It is very much appreciated. However, now we'll move on to the main event, which is Death Guard versus Crimson Fists. We have two armies here, which we're going to go through right now.
Okay, so first up for this battle report, we have 2,000 points of Crimson Fists, and this is consisting of one battalion. So let's delve in to look at the army. Okay, so starting off with the HQ slots, we have two HQs here consisting of Pedro Cantor as the Warlord, and he has the Refuse to Die Warlord trait. We then have our Librarian in Terminator armor, who is equipped with a staff and Stormbolter. He has Smite, Null Zone, and Might of Heroes. Now we move on to the troop choices. Fairly simple loadout here. We have one 10-man tactical squad and two 10-man intercessor squads. One of the intercessor squads is sporting Stalker bolt rifles, the other one has its normal bolt rifles, and the tac squad has its bolt guns. Okay, so now for the elite choices, we have three elite choices in here. So starting off with a 5-man Stern Guard squad, they will be transported in a Razorback with twin las cannon on top. We have one Redemptor Dreadnought with the heavy Gatling cannon on it, along with 10 Terminators there sitting on the back, Cyclone missile launcher and assault cannon also equipped in that squad. So that's the elites. Let's move on to the heavy choice. So final entry for the Crimson Fists is one heavy choice of 10 Hellblasters equipped with their default plasma rifles, so they should be quite painful to deal with. Let's see what the Death Guard have bought. Okay, time for the Death Guard. This is the first time I've actually fielded them with the new codex, so looking forward to this. We have 2,000 points of Death Guard here, and it is broken into a Patrol Detachment and a Vanguard Detachment. We are going to be using the Ferryman Plague Company as the rules across the board, and yeah, looking forward to seeing how these pan out. Okay, so first up, HQ choices for the Patrol Detachment. We have a Death Guard Demon Prince, who is also the Warlord. He has Revolting Resilience, Putrescent Vitality, Fetid Wings, and Malefic Talons. We then also have a Malignant Plague Caster who has Miasma of Pestilence and Gift of Contagion, and obviously a Bolt Pistol and his other normal weapons that are selected. Now the troop choices, and we have a 7-man Plague Marine squad. We have a Blight Launcher, Icon of Despair, and a Power Fist on the champion. Moving on to the elites, and we have two Fetid Viron selections here, both being Plague Surgeons, no other upgrades on them. And the final selection for the patrol, which is a fast attack slot taken up by a Fetid Bloat Drone fitted with a lovely Fleshmer. Now moving on to the Vanguard Detachment, and this is being headed up by a Lord of Contagion, very simply equipped with a Plague Reaper, no other upgrades on him. Now moving on to the biggest section of this particular detachment, and that is the elites. We are taking a 10-man squad of Blight Lord Terminators. That particular squad has got 2 Reaper autocannons in it, and then a multitude of combi bolters and a couple of plasmas in there as well. We have 2 smaller 5-man Blight Lord Terminator squads. They both have a Flail of Corruption in each of them, along with a Reaper autocannon. We then have a 3-man Deathshroud Terminator squad, all armed as standard. And then to round it off, we have 2 more Fetid Viron selections, 1 Surgeon and 1 Blight Bringer.
Okay, so you've seen both the armies now, 2,000 points aside. So let's go a little bit more detail on the battle that's upcoming. We are playing a mission from the Tactical Deployment Chapter Proof book. It is called Drawn Battle Lines. Now, this has some slightly different rules from the normal setup. So first of all, we have Domination, which is the primary objective. And as you can see in the middle here, we have 6 orange markers, 3 on each kind of side of the board. There's one just hiding behind those crates over there. Now, you score points for these guys. If you control 2 or more objective markers, you get 5 points. If you score 3 or more, you get another 5 points. And if you control more than the opponent controls, you get another 5 points, and you can score a maximum of 15 points per battle round. They can't be scored on the first round, obviously. Then there are secondary objectives, which we will go through once we are deployed. So let's get the armies down the table, go into the secondaries, and get on with the game. Okay, both sides have now deployed. Death Guard facing off against the Crimson Fists. There are a few reserves knocking about for the Death Guard. We have 2 of the 5-man Death Guard Blightlord Terminator squads in reserve, along with the Death Shroud Terminators and the Lord of Contagion. And Vicky has the 5 Stern Guard in the Razorback, which is currently over there. So let's see where we have deployed here. So we have some Plague Marines and a Surgeon on this flank over here. We have the Bloat Drone in the middle off to the right. We have the 10-man Terminator squad here, accompanied by the Blightbringer, Plague Caster, and Surgeon. Actually, I think it's 2 Surgeons actually down there. And then we have the Demon Prince Warlord on his own over here, which might be a mistake. We will see what happens shortly. Moving on to the Crimson Fist side, we have the Redemptor taking up this side, with some Intercessors hiding out in the crater here. We then have a bit of a kind of a formation here behind the trench works. Not quite sure what's intended here, but we will see what happens when the turns start to tick over. So we have Terminators, Hellblasters, and I believe that's the Stalker Bolt Rifle ones at the back there. So quite an impressive gun line. We also have Pedro Cantor on the right and the Librarian on the left. We then have another tactical squad, well, so actually the only tactical squad over here, and obviously the Razorback, as pointed out earlier, on the left here. Secondaries, so we're going to reveal these quickly now. Vicky elected to go for Offensive Push, which is a mission specific. Cut off the head and Oaths of Moment, just to quickly go through the Offensive Push one, because we've both taken that in fact. If you control more of the opponent's objective markers in their deployment zone, you score 3 points as per normal. Cut off the head is obviously killing the Warlord, and you get X amount of points for the turn that you're currently on. And Oaths of the Moment is a new Space Marine one in the Space Marine Codex, which we'll go through as it pops up. We have Spread the Sickness for the Death Guard, which basically means I can try and contaminate objective markers, either by rolling a 4+ or just declaring I have done it and taking D3 mortal wounds on the unit, and that's worth 3 points per objective marker that is contaminated at the end of the game. I have also taken Line Breaker, because I'm hoping to get over there and sit in the deployment zone. And I've also got Offensive Push as previously stated. So, obviously now we just roll off to see who goes first. I'm just going to grab some dice, hopefully. 1 second. Okay, excellent. So, and one for me, one for you, Vicky. And let's see who is going first. So I've rolled a 5, and Vicky has rolled a 2. So right back in a moment with Death Guard, turn 1. Okay, Death Guard movement phase has ended. So down here, the Plague Marines, along with the Plague Surgeon, have moved up to this objective here. We did try to contaminate it, however I elected to go for the 4+ so I didn't lose any wounds, and I failed that, so nothing gained there yet. Into the middle here, we had the Blight Lords and all of the characters, so the Blightbringer, Surgeons, and the Plague Caster here, along with the Demon Princess, decided to come along for the ride back here, because feeling a little bit outmatched possibly over on this side of the board, has hopped in behind them to get a bit of protection. And then finally, the Bloat Drone here decided to advance as fast as it could, so it got a 14-inch move and has moved itself to the centre of the table there. Might be a bit risky for it, but we'll see, because it's only got melee weapons, so it has to get up pretty quickly to be effective. So that is the end of movement. We'll now go on to Psychic and Shooting. Okay, so just going to go to the Psychic phase first. So we did a couple of Psychic powers out, managed to get Miasma of Pestilence onto the Blightlord Terminator, so they're now -1 to hit. I did also try to put Putrescent Vitality onto them, however that failed, and I also perilled, and I took 2 wounds on the Demon Prince for his troubles for trying to cast that. So, onto the shooting now. The Blight Lord Terminators here are going to fire all their shots into the Hellblaster squad just over there. Okay, so we're going to start off with the combi bolters here. I've also spent a command point on virulent rounds, which basically makes them all plague weapons. So I'm re-rolling ones on wounding. I'm also re-rolling ones to hit because the Demon Prince is within range. So here we go. Needing 3s to hit. Re-rolling ones. So I'm just going to pick out everything that's a confirmed miss. That's a 1. I get to re-roll that. Okay. Another 2 there. Perfect. And I've got 2 1s to re-roll there, so I'm just going to shift all them over to that side and re-roll these 2. Hit one more time. And then this lot here, I'm going to get to essentially roll to wound all of them and re-rolling 1s. However, I need 4s to wound as they are. This is a bolter. So let's see what we've got here. So take out all these hits and Vicky can roll them in, sorry, wounds, and she can roll them all in a moment. Okay, actually not too bad by the looks of it. Another 2 there, and then re-rolling these 1s. Okay, 1 more extra there. So Vicky, if you could roll all of these 3-up saves, please.
Not much left.
Well, don't forget, I've got to do 2 wounds per to kill. So how many fails? That looks like quite a few fails, actually.
There is. 8 fails.
8 fails, so that's 4 Hellblasters dead. And then we're just now going to roll up the Reaper autocannons as well. So we're going to have 8 shots then, because I've got 2 in the squad. So let's grab them. Looking for 3s here. Okay, these will get the reroll to hit, but not to wound, because they're not bolt weapons. So that many hits. And this is strength 7, so I'm going to need 3s to wound. And this is -2. So 5 ups. Okay, so I can see 2 say this. So you lost another 2 Hellblasters. So that's 6 in total, isn't it? Yeah. So 6 dead Hellblasters. Okay, Vicky's not very happy. She did actually lose another 2 more on top of that due to a really bad roll on the leadership scales there. Obviously, I killed off a fair few, and then on top of that, because it was over half the squad was dead. That was not good. So it's down to 1 Hellblaster remaining over here. That is actually all of my shooting as well. There wasn't really anything else I could shoot because everything else is out of range. So obviously I haven't actually scored any points this round either, because all of my stuff is going to start to kick in as the following turn, and obviously I failed to get spread the sickness off over here. So and also primary decks aren't scored until the next battle round. So that is the end of turn 1 for the Death Guard. Let's move on to turn 1 for the Crimson Fists. Okay, Crimson Fists turn 1, end of movement phase. So over here you can see the Dreadnought and the Incest have made their move around to this objective here. So they've managed to get on there and also obviously support this side of the board. Moving on into the centre, the Terminators have taken up positions in the trench line, which is obviously going to give them a +1 to their cover as well, which is quite nice. And Pedro Cantor in the command phase has elected that unit there to be his reroll all misses unit. Obviously as their core, which is fantastic for them. The Stalkers have stayed still because they don't want to take the penalty to their shooting, and they are in range of pretty much everything they need to hit at the moment. And over here we had the tactical squad squeeze through this gap towards the objective, and the Razorback make quite a quick move around the left flank here, heading towards the Plague Marines there. And obviously we do have a bloat drone sitting in the middle as well. So that is movement done. Let's head on into the psychic and shooting phases. Okay, so joining us in the psychic phase here, just before we go on to shooting, the Librarian here decides to use Smite on the bloat drone is the one I'm looking for. Vicky actually rolled a double 6, elected to keep the double 6 so she could potentially do a nice amount of wounds on here. Then rolled a 2 for damage, and then decided to command point that to try and bring it up, and actually rolled a 1. So I didn't actually take any damage in the end due to my -1 to damage. Feel a bit sorry for that librarian because he's actually now taken more wounds than the target that he shot at. Well, he mind blasted. So that's we're back in a minute with some shooting. Okay, so first order of shooting over here, we're having the Stalker bolt rifle equipped Intercessor squad are going to fire at the bloat drone over there. So let's see how they do. Okay, so we've got 10 shots coming in at the bloat drone. We're looking for 3s to hit here. Any 6s generate an additional attack. Okay, and then you need 5s to wound. And it is -3 at the moment. So that's 3 there. So I need, I actually need 6 ups actually. So they all got through. And so that's, yes, 3, but it does 3 wounds to me because I got -1 on my wounds. So 3 wounds have been done to the bloat drone. Okay, so we've just finished the shooting for the Crimson Fists. They did manage to actually get rid of the bloat drone. That was some combined fire from the Razorback here, and obviously you saw the previous shots from the Stalkers go into it as well. And also a few shots from these guys here. And I think the Terminator Librarian and Pedro Cantor fired into it and managed to just about kill it off. It was very, very close, to be fair. We then, however, had an absolute wall of fire from the Terminators here, firing every single shot they had, and all of the shots from the Intercessors over here, and basically anything else that could shoot, including the Redemptor over there, into the Terminators here, and they managed to kill 1 model. Not sure what to say about that.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I mean, to be fair, I had a bit of luck, I think. However, it was very, very telling. So essentially, I've got one guy who's on 2 wounds here at the back, and the one that was there is dead. So that is the end of Crimson Fist turn 1. They did score 1 point for one of their secondaries from over the moment, which was basically to kill 1 vehicle, monster, or whatever. So that was the bloat drone there. Who managed to generate 1 point. So I'm a bit sad I didn't get to use him, but new model syndrome. He was the newest model of my army, so he was always going to die. Anyway, let's move on to Death Guard turn 2. Okay, you join us at the end of Death Guard turn 2 movement. Reinforcements are now in. So let's head on to see what has moved around the table. So down here, the Plague Marines moved forward slightly. They did stay in range of this objective, so they also, at the end of the movement phase, put Spread Sickness and managed to get that off onto this objective here. I used the D3 Mortal Wounds version this time, so it's guaranteed to go off, and so this guy is down to 1 wound at the back here. I didn't manage to recover that wound using the Surgeon's ability. Moving over here at the back, in the middle, sorry, the Blightlord Terminators have moved forward with their little retinue behind them, so we have the Surgeons, the Plague Bringer, Plague Caster and Demon Prince all following up down the centre here. We had a deep strike of Blightlord Terminators in here at the front. And then it got a little bit interesting at the back here. I noticed there was a couple of areas I could get units in to on the back lines here. So we had the Death Shroud Terminators and the Lord of Contagion drop back here, just behind the Redemptor and the Intercessors. And then we had this squad of Blightlord Terminators drop in parallel to the Stalkers. Vicky did also use an Auspex scan to try and do some damage to these guys. Actually didn't do any wounds, sadly. So that is movement done. Let's head on over to Psychic and Shooting. Okay, so end of the Psychic phase, we've got Miasma of Pestilence and Putrescent Vitality onto the Blightlord Terminators, so they're -1 to hit, and they have +1 Strength and Toughness as well. I also managed to get Gift of Contagion off on the Terminators with an 8+ roll, so they are now -1 Strength and Attacks. Okay, so first order of business in the shooting phase for the Death Guard. We're going to have the Blightlord Terminators in the middle here. Fire all their shots into the Terminators hiding inside the barricade there. Terminators are going to get +1 to their cover. So even though they're on well, 1-up save, they can always fail a 1, but they're always pretty much guaranteed a 2. I've also put on here Virulent Rounds and Eternal Hatred, so that gives me reroll to 1s on wounds and +1 to the attack's wound rolls as well. So let's see how they do. Okay, so we're going to start off with the bolter rounds here. So these are the ones that are going to get reroll 1s to wound. So we are needing 3s to hit. However, because I have the Demon Prince nearby, I'll be rerolling 1s. I've got 2 1s in there, so let's just reroll those quickly. Okay, let's take out all the misses. Well, that wasn't actually that bad, really, was it?
Depends on whose perspective.
And I'm getting +1 to my wound rolls here from Eternal Hatred, so I'm wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s. Roll those ones down here. Okay, let's take away all the complete. This one's there we go. So you need that many 2-up saves.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be all of them. That's not good.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's all about perspective, as we were just saying. Now, I do have some combi plasmas here, so they're going to fire 4 plasmas at overcharged rate. So these are, I've got 2 models here, so I'll do them 2 separately, so in case one kills itself. So I'll do the first one. Rerolling the 1 because D imprints. Okay, so they both hit. And then the second one, that doesn't count, so got 3 hits. These are wounding on 2s, because it is a strength 8. Rerolling the, oh no, I don't get to reroll the 1s to wound, sorry, pardon me. So just the 1 there, you need a, yeah, you're 5 and vulnerable, I think. Is that right? 2, yes, that's fine. So 1 has taken 2 wounds. And then we have the autocannons, the Reaper autocannons here, hitting on 3s. Rerolling 1s because the D imprints. No. And then we are wounding on 3s as well. Wounding on 2s, pardon me, because it's +1 to wound. So that's many saves. Now that would normally be -2, but it's only going to be -1, so you've got your 3-up saves here. So basically you've lost one Terminator. So I feel a bit of sweet justice there, considering what happened with my one. So 1 Terminator down there. Okay, so just recapping the rest of the shooting phase here. We had this squad of Plague Marines fire into the tack squad here. We only took away, I think it was one guy in the end and a wound. We then had the Terminators here and the Terminators at the back over here fire into the Stalker squad back here and managing to take out, I think, half their number. Not quite under half strength, they're exactly bang on half, so that won't affect their leadership just yet. So that is pretty much all the shooting I've got. So we're going to definitely try and get some assaults off this turn, and let's see how they do in combat. Okay, so you're joining us at the end of the assault phase for the Death Guard. I say the end, we were going to put some dice rolls on camera if there had been any combat, but apparently these guys are running like treacle today, which is not unusual for Death Guard. So these guys attempted to charge the Terminators here. They needed a 10-inch charge. I did use a command point to re-roll it. Vicky also overwatched, but didn't do anything with the overwatch at all, and it was a lot of overwatch, I will admit. I then also, onto this side of the board, I attempted to put the Death Shroud Terminators into this squad here. However, as we were going through the crater, I got a -2 on my charge, which just wasn't enough to get in there. Actually, I rolled like a 3 anyway, so even with that, it was not going to happen, I don't think. And unfortunately, during the shooting phase, because all these Stalkers died here, we kind of pushed ourselves out of range, which Vicky was very sensible, taking away from that end of the board. So that's the end of Death Guard turn 2. We did score 3 points. Oh no, actually, pardon me, I don't score the spreading sickness ones till the end of the game, so not just yet. So yeah, that is the end of turn 2 for the Death Guard. Okay, Crimson Fist's turn 2, end of movement. So swinging over to this side of the board, we had the Stern Guard get out of the transport before the transport moved off over here, so they're obviously gunning for these Plague Marines. The Razorback has created a kind of a roadblock for the Plague Marines to go around. Also in here, the Tack Squad has kind of shuffled around a bit to get some better firing solutions, getting on top of the containers and moving through the gap. The Intercessors at the back with the Stalker Bolt Rifles have moved up just to get in range of Cantor. And then over here on this side, Vicky has elected to stay still with both these units, apart from turning the Dreadnought around. Obviously, I think the intention is possibly to deal with these lovely Death Shroud Terminators at the back here. She was umming and ahhing about going towards this objective or staying there, etc. However, also, just to quickly recap a couple of the score points, Vicky actually holds 3 objective markers, so she actually scored 10 points on the primary this turn, which is really good. And also, I did forget to add on my line breaker on the last turn as well, so I scored 4 for having all those guys in the back line over there. So, that is Crimson Fist turn 2 movement out the way. Let's head on to Psychic and Shooting, and let's see if they can turn a bit of damage onto the Death Guard. So first order of business for the Crimson Fists is the Stern Guard are going to fire their nice little bolters into the Plague Marine squad over here. So here goes the Stern Guard firing into the Plague Marines. So we've got 10 shots here. Any 6s generate an additional hit, so got 1 there. That's nice, they've all hit. And you need 5s to wound. So they're toughness 5. That doesn't look too bad at all. And these are -3 at the moment because of tactical doctrine. So we are looking for 6 ups actually. This could be quite painful. Here we go. So we passed 1. And that is actually 2 dead for me in the end there. So 2 dead Plague Marines. Okay, so a recap of the rest of the shooting for the Crimson Fists. Over here we had this tactical squad fire into these Terminators here. They didn't do anything in the end, sadly. We had the Razorback fire las cannons in as well and didn't do anything because it didn't actually manage to do anything either from just some bad rolling on Vicky's part, sadly. However, a slight reverse of fortunes over here for the Crimson Fists. The combined firepower of the Redemptor Dreadnought and this Intercessor squad piled into the Death Shrouds, actually killing 2 of them. Some pretty good shooting there, mainly from the Intercessors actually, so good shooting there. However, in the middle here, the Terminators opened up again, fired every single shot into the central squad here, even put Fury of the First on them to give them that, to negate the -1 I'm putting on there. I managed to kill one model, and took a wound off another one. So they're really resilient at the moment. I'm hoping they're going to get to do some fun stuff in a minute. We shall see. Anyway, that is the end of the shooting phase. We're now going to head on into the assault phase. I think over here, these Stern Guard are going to have a pop at this Plague Marine squad. Okay, so at the end of the charging phase, there's only one assault going to happen this turn. That's between the Stern Guard and the Plague Marines here. Here we go, so we've got the Stern Guard going into the Plague Marines. We're going to start off with the Sergeant here, who's got a Power Fist, so he's going to be hitting on 4s. Got 4 attacks. Okay, hit twice. You're wounding on 5s, because... sorry, 3s, not 5s, pardon me. So 1. And I need a 6-up save here. And I got it somehow, I was so lucky. And then we've got the other guys here coming in. So
Bit better.
That's not too bad. And then you need 5s to wound because you're only strength 4 and on toughness 5. Okay. So 3. And I need 3-up saves here. So 2 got 3, and I do have my Surgeon nearby, so on a 6-up I can ignore that 1 wound. No, so one of them is down to 1 wound. Okay, time for the Plague Marines to hit back. We're going to start with the Champion, who has 3 attacks. He's going to be hitting on 4s as well. And he's hit once. He will be wounding on 2s though, because he has double the toughness there. So 1 wound at -3, so you need a 6-up save, which you don't get. So that's 1 dead, because it's just a flat 2 damage now. And then I have all the Plague Knife attacks coming in here, so we're hitting on 3s. 2 attacks each for these guys. That many hits, that's not bad. And then we need 4s to wound. However, I do get to reroll 1s because they are plague weapons. Okay, so get rid of that there. So that many saves. I don't believe actually a plague knife is -1. So these are 4-up saves. So you took 3 wounds in total. So that is 1 Marine dead and 1 on 1 wound. Okay, so that's the end of turn 2 for the Crimson Fists. They did score 1 additional secondary point for not failing a morale test that turn. The other ones are not quite achievable just yet, because obviously one is to hold one of my objectives. Sorry, to be within 6 inches of the middle of the board, sorry. And the other secondary is to hold one of my objectives at the back here. So, that concludes Crimson Fists turn 2. We're now going to head on to Death Guard turn 3. So end of turn 3 movement for the Death Guard. I've scored another 5 points on primaries. I also managed to, at the end of my movement phase, put a Spread the Disease token on this thing here on a 4-up. So that's pretty good. And then moving over to this side of the board, we had the Lord of Contagion and his remaining bodyguard move towards the Dreadnought and the Intercessors here, along with some backup of the Blight Lord Terminators. And then as we move to the centre of the table here, we had all of these guys move up, heading towards that objective there with the Demon Prince in support now, obviously gunning for Cantor. That could be quite a dangerous fight for him, we will soon see. I elected to heat these guys to hold still for a minute because I'm pondering about going this way or this way at the moment, and I'm not quite sure which way I need to go just yet. So, that's end of movement. Let's head on into Psychic and Shooting. Okay, so psychic powers having gone off here, so we actually tried to put Putrescent Vitality and Myers of Pestilence on these guys here. Failed on both accounts. We then tried to put Gift of Contagion onto the Terminators here and managed to get that off. They are also now in my aura, so they are also -1 toughness at the moment, which is quite nice for anything within 6 inches of me. So, let's go do some shooting. Okay, so we've finished the shooting phase. Over here we had this squad of Blight Lords fire into the the intercessors with Stalker bolt rifles at the back, killing a couple off. We had this load of Terminators here, along with the Blight Bringer, and anything else that could shoot into the Terminator at the front. We only managed to kill, I think, 1.5 off. And then we came over here, where we had any guns that could fire into the intercessors here. We actually managed to kill 3 off, which was not too bad. That was basically from the gauntlet here for the from the Death Shroud Terminator, and I think the autocannon on there. So that's pretty much all the shooting done. We're going to head on to the combat phase. There might be a fair bit of that coming up, so let's see how that pans out. Okay, so end of the charge phase for Death Guard in turn 3, and the carnage is about to begin. We managed to make it in over here against the tactical squad. We then made it into the Terminator squad with my Blight Lords here. Elected not to charge Cantor, however he did intervene, so he's in combat with them. The Demon Prince charged Cantor, and so did the Plague Surgeon, also in combat with Cantor there. This surgeon failed his charge, however the Blightbringer managed to make his way around the side there just about. Moving on to this side of the table, we had the Blight Lord Terminators make it into the Intercessors over here, and one of the Death Shroud, well, the remaining Death Shroud made it into the Redemptor there. However, his leader back here failed his charge miserably. He was going through the crater though, sadly. So that is all of the charges. Obviously, we do have one ongoing fight over here at the back as well, which is between these two squads here. And I did actually forget to -1 off the toughness in the last fight, but I will not forget to do that this time. So let's move on into some of this combat. Okay, first order of business is going to be the Demon Prince attacking Cantor, because I don't want an interrupt to be happened there. I suspect I will be getting an interrupt though, but we'll see what happens in a minute. So let's do Demon Prince versus Cantor. Okay, so Demon Prince has 8 attacks because he's got 2 Malefic Talons and he gets 6 basic, so he is now going in. And we're going to be hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s. So here we go. All hit. And we're going to be wounding on 2s as well because Cantor is at -1 toughness due to my contagion. So he has toughness 3 and I am strength 7. So we have got that many saves. It's -2. Sorry, -1 for Talons, pardon me. So you've got 2 ups saving normally, so you need 3 ups. Anyone you failed is 2 damage. So you failed 3 times. So that's 6 wounds. Unless you want to command point one of those. You get a command point to save. That's fine. So yeah, that's you've lost 4 wounds then. Okay, so Cantor elected to interrupt and attack the Demon Prince. Going to try and get cut off the head. So you've got 6 attacks coming in, hitting on 3s because of his Power Fist. You can re-roll 1s. Okay, so you missed with 2 of them. You then need 3s to wound because you're strength 8. So you wounded twice. And I have a 5 up in vulnerable, which I've passed 1, and then it does 2 damage. However, I do have Revolting Resilience, so on a 5 up I ignore those. So he takes 1 wound on the Demon Prince. We're right back with the rest of the assault phase. Okay, so at the end of the assault phase, we had this massive fight in the middle here. So my guys charged in, managing to kill off a lot of the Terminators, along with the Surgeon here, obviously finishing off Cantor as well. No, sorry, not the Surgeon. Sorry, the one of the Blight Lord Terminators finished off Cantor. He then got back up again and put himself over there. Once I had actually killed a few of the Terminators, I also put down Break Their Spirit. So that unit is currently at -4 to their leadership characteristic, on top of what other kind of bonuses they get there. So that's not looking good for the Terminators. Over onto this side of the battlefield, we had the Blight Lords charge into the Intercessors, and they managed to kill them, all of them. In here, the Dreadnought and this Death Shroud Terminator fought, and unfortunately the Dreadnought took 4 wounds. Nothing done to the Death Shroud. And as we move over to this side of the board, we had this fight between the Stern Guard and the Plague Marines, ending with the Plague Marines winning quite easily. So that is all of the assault phase. We're going to just do some morale checks, and we'll be right back with a wrap up of the turn. Okay, so at the end of turn 3 for the Death Guard, I only managed to score another 4 points for the Line Breaker for having my units over there in the enemy deployment zone. Other than that, obviously I managed to get the Spread the Corruption here, but I don't get that till the end of the game. And I am holding this central one here, but the rule for the offensive push requires me to hold more objectives than I do in my own area, and I'm not doing that at the moment because I'm holding 2. I'm only holding 1 on the other side of the board. So that is the end of turn 3 for the Death Guard. We're now going to head on to turn 3 for the Crimson Fists. Turn 3 for Crimson Fists. Movement has finished. Really not a lot to move. Over here, this squad's locked in combat and decided to stay in combat. Over here, the 2 Terminators have let to stay in combat as well to try and stop my guys from shooting. I don't know if that will work out too well. However, the Intercessors back there have stayed still. The Librarian has moved a bit closer to Cantor because apparently there's going to be a buff of Might of Heroes on there to give him a little bit of an assist. Other than that, Dreadnought over here has stayed in combat with the Death Shroud Terminator. So that's it really. We're now going to head on into Psychic and Shooting for the Crimson Fists. Okay, end of Psychic and Shooting for the Crimson Fists in turn 3. Over here, the Redemptor fired all of its shots it could do into the Death Shroud Terminator, but didn't manage to do anything. Unfortunately, that toughness proving a little bit too much. Over here, Might of Heroes was cast onto Cantor. I suspect he's heading towards that Demon Prince to try and get cut off the head in a moment. The Stalkers here fired over at the Malignant Plaguecaster, which was sitting on my rear objective there, and managed to take him out because he had no one around him protecting him, so it's kind of my fault. The rest of any other shots that could be done were fired into him as well to try and make sure he finished off, because there was an unlucky las cannon shot from the Razorback here, which because of the -1 to damage didn't quite kill him the first time round. Also, there was a smite that flied into the nearest unit, which happened to be the Blight Lord Terminators there, taking 1 out and leaving 1 on 2 wounds. So that is all of the shooting done. Let's go into the combat phase and see what the Crimson Fists can do. So the only new combat that developed out of the charge phase was Cantor into the Demon Prince, and that's where we're going to go and see what happens. Okay, we've got 7 attacks coming into the Demon Prince here from Cantor. Re-rolling any 1s. Okay, so that's 4 hits. And then you're looking for 3s to wound. Okay, all wounded. However, these have all been downgraded to 1 damage due to the Death Guard rule. However, I do need to save this first, so needing 5 ups to save. I made 1 save, so I've actually taken 3 damage so far, and we'll just see if we can rotate that down using Revolting Resilience on a 5 up. No, so 3 damage, so the Demon Prince is down to 3 wounds. Okay, so at the end of Crimson Fist turn 3, unfortunately the Valiant Tactical Squad down here was wiped out to the man by that Death Guard Blight Lord Terminator squad. Cantor, however, had an epic fight with the Demon Prince here, and in fact neither of them ended up losing any wounds, which was actually interesting. So they're still duking out on top of that trenchway there. The 2 Terminators unfortunately couldn't stand up to the battery of this squad here. And then over here, the Dreadnought completely pummeled the remaining Death Shroud Terminator into the ground. So that is the end of the Crimson Fist turn 3. We're right back with Death Guard turn 4. Okay, so this is Death Guard turn 4, and actually we have decided to end the game here. Vicky has elected to concede because she can't really see a way out of the current situation in any way, shape or form. We were just adding up the scores a minute ago, and I was about to score another 10-point primary, and also I was going to start to run away with a couple of the other objectives as well. So, because essentially all that Vicky has left now is this Dreadnought over here on 3 wounds. The 4, not Stern Guard, sorry, I always get these mixed up. 4 Stalkers with Intercessor, so the Intercessor Stalker rifles, and obviously Cantor and the Librarian over here. Yeah, that'll be the end of this game. I think the Death Guard have swung that one. So we'll be back in a minute with a quick wrap up of the game. Okay, so that's the end of the game. Thank you all very much for watching. Obviously, I think I probably had more fun than Vicky did playing Death Guard. How did you feel playing the new Death Guard, Vicky?
That was really tough.
Yeah.
Literally, those Terminators, they've just like been boosted, and then having like the -1s that you've got, and then all the extra psychic abilities. even using like all the strats that I use,
Yeah.
it's done nothing.
I must
against them.
confess, I did feel a little bit of a it's just walking forward and not really taking many casualties was quite impressive.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to compare the dead piles
Yeah.
at the end of this.
Yeah.
I've got a
No,
lot of
I can
dead
see
ones.
Vicky's dead pile over there, and I'll just show you mine under the table down here. There at the moment. I think obviously there would have been a chance of me losing the Demon Prince there, I suspect, but as it was my go, that might not have happened.
I think I need to rethink my list, what I'm going to bring
Yeah.
against death
I think
piles.
less bolters.
Yes.
More high strength weaponry, I think, because I must admit, I thought the bolters might be enough in certain cases, but I think the Terminators definitely proved a bit too much for bolter fire in the end. But anyway, as usual, we had fun playing. It's been a little while since we played a game, obviously. So thank you all very much for watching and for bearing with me while I'm learning the new Death Guard Codex, because it's a little bit daunting going through all of it, and I'm sure there's some stratagems I didn't use correctly. Or didn't use at all, maybe. So if any tips, obviously, feel free to put them in the comments below, as usual. Thank you all very much for watching. This is Tom from Black Toe Studio, and we will see you soon.